Have you ever felt the pull of the wild? Many adults dream of escaping the hustle and bustle for a simpler life in nature. But for some, that dream takes a darker turn. This episode explores the stories of 10 individuals who vanished into the wilderness for years. We'll delve into their motivations, from a yearning for solitude to the pursuit of a life off the grid. What secrets did they hide in the woods? And what will their eventual capture reveal? Eric Rudolph. Eric Rudolph, the prime suspect in a string of bombings targeting abortion clinics, vanished into the dense wilderness of North Carolina's Nantahala National Forest after the attacks. This disappearance sparked a massive manhunt, costing millions of dollars. Despite not being a native of North Carolina, Rudolph's familiarity with the forest proved advantageous. His family's relocation after his father's death had forced him to learn the area's secrets. However, this proficiency wasn't his only weapon. Fueled by extremist views that began at a young age, reportedly due to blaming the government for his father's passing, Rudolph dropped out of school and received explosives training during his time in the military. The idyllic setting of the 1996 Atlanta Olympics was shattered when a bomb ripped through the crowd. This was just the beginning of a series of bombings across Atlanta and Alabama, with the final one leading authorities straight to Rudolph's trail. The ensuing manhunt became one of the most expensive in North Carolina's history. Ogo Seng. Singapore, a global hub of towering skyscrapers and urban sprawl, might seem an unlikely place to find someone choosing a life in the wild. Yet, 79-year-old Ogo Seng thrived in the heart of the city's wilderness for 30 years before his discovery. News of Mr. Seng's life sent shockwaves online. Here was a man living unnoticed, seemingly content, while just kilometers away bustled a modern metropolis. His story began with the demolition of his village to make way for progress. Unwilling to adjust to high-rise living with his brother, Mr. Seng retreated to the forest, a place he knew well. Using wood, pollen, likely a misspelling of fallen leaves or similar, and bamboo, he built his own sanctuary. A nearby garden provided sustenance, and clotheslines strung between trees and fences completed his simple abode. Despite the lack of human contact, Mr. Seng found solace in tending to his garden. He admitted that mice were his biggest challenge, not loneliness. His story is a stark contrast to the typical Singaporean narrative of wealth and development. It highlights the human desire for connection with nature, even amidst the concrete jungle. Christopher Knight. Christopher Knight, a former car installer near Boston, abruptly abandoned his life. Without a word to his employer or colleagues, he embarked on a solo journey, seeking complete isolation. Driven by a lifelong desire for solitude, Knight traveled for days until reaching the remote wilderness near Moosehead Lake. He parked his car, leaving behind the keys, and ventured deep into the woods, severing ties with his old life. Knight wasn't the first to seek solace in seclusion. He referenced historical figures like monks and ascetics who embraced similar lifestyles. His family, however, struggled to accept his disappearance, particularly with the abandoned car as a haunting clue. Unlike many hermits, Knight wasn't driven by protest or fear. He simply lacked a concrete plan, confessing he just wanted to be lost. His initial meager supplies sufficed until he learned to survive off the land. Rokam Pinyang. Tragedy struck a Cambodian family when an 8-year-old girl vanished while tending to buffalo with her sister. Years later, villagers were stunned by the sight of a young woman emerging naked from the jungle, seemingly feral. The villagers, unsure if they were witnessing a human or an animal, alerted the authorities. Authorities traced missing child reports and ultimately reunited the woman with her family. Her father recognized her by a distinctive scar, a poignant reminder of her life before the wilderness. The transition back to society, however, proved incredibly difficult. Years spent in isolation had robbed her of the ability to speak and acclimate to human customs. Sadly, her attempts to reintegrate were met with resistance as she refused clothing and reverted to crawling. Unable to cope, she eventually fled back to the only home she'd known for nearly 2 decades. The story continues to baffle. How did an 8-year-old survive the harsh realities of the jungle for so long? It's a testament to the human spirit's resilience, yet a heartbreaking reminder of the profound impact of isolation. Eric Frine. Following the fatal shooting of Pennsylvania State Trooper Byron Dixon in 2014, Eric Frine, the alleged gunman, vanished into the dense Ponaco Mountains. A massive search ensued, with authorities scouring the woods for any sign of the suspect. Discarded evidence, a cigarette butt and soiled diapers confirmed Frine's presence in the wilderness. Thankfully, local residents played a crucial role, reporting sightings that aided the search. However, for safety reasons, authorities urged civilians to avoid the search area, leaving it to trained personnel. Frine, a known extremist with a history of criminal activity dating back to 2004, evaded capture for 7 weeks. He was eventually apprehended in October 2014 and later sentenced to death for his crimes in 2017. Troy Knapp. Troy Knapp, a man known to dislike society and favor strong drink, became a wanted man in Utah after a series of mountain cabin break-ins. The wilderness became his refuge, with stolen supplies sustaining him as he evaded capture. Unaware he was being tracked, Troy Knapp continued his routine of breaking into cabins and listening for news of the manhunt on stolen radios. However, his movements, footprints, snowshoe tracks, and the telltale sound of chopping wood gradually revealed his location. Authorities, patiently piecing together the clues, closed the net on Troy Knapp. A team of 14 officers silently surrounded his location near a mountain reservoir. Reinforcements arrived swiftly, and Troy Knapp was apprehended without incident. Later, Troy Knapp recounted his experience as a fugitive, revealing a history of arrests dating back to 2007. This information proved valuable in connecting him to the cabin break-ins. Utah authorities, determined to solve the case, had traced the crimes back to him, ultimately leading to his capture. Mincho Donchev. Some criminals like Mincho Donchev seek refuge in remote locations to evade capture. Donchev, a convicted murderer in Bulgaria, escaped prison and fled to the woods. This pattern continued even after he moved to the United States, where he was convicted of arson and then disappeared into the wilderness once more. For Donchev, the isolation of the woods seemed to represent freedom from judgment. He remained hidden for a decade, resorting to property crimes like theft from cabins to survive. However, his actions eventually drew scrutiny, leading to an investigation and his capture. Ironically, due to the passage of time, Donchev was no longer wanted in Bulgaria. However, US authorities brought him to justice for his crimes there, providing some solace for his victims. The Wild Man. A persistent local legend from 1987 tells the tale of a mysterious encounter in Arizona's Globe Valley. A group of gold miners claimed to have come across a large, hairy humanoid creature unable to speak but gesturing with its hands. The miners described the creature as roughly 6'5" with a conical head and long dark hair. Alarmed, the creature reportedly fled into the mountains with surprising speed, leading the miners to a cave that might have been its dwelling. While their initial report might have been met with skepticism, subsequent sightings in the area have fueled the legend. Newspapers and magazines picked up on the story, with some accounts suggesting the creature was eventually captured and taken to an institution. Ted Kaczynski. Theodore Kaczynski, a brilliant mathematician known as the Unabomber, led a controversial life. He transitioned from academia to become a domestic terrorist, vehemently opposed to what he perceived as the destructive nature of technology. In 1971, Kaczynski abandoned his promising career and moved to a remote cabin, embracing a simple lifestyle. However, this existence was disrupted by the encroachment of urbanization, fueling his anger towards industrial development. Kaczynski believed humans were systematically destroying the environment. To fight this perceived threat, he embarked on a mail bombing campaign targeting individuals he associated with technology and progress. These meticulously crafted bombs tragically killed and injured people. Kaczynski deliberately left clues in his devices, attempting to manipulate the media and further his anti-technology message. A crucial breakthrough came from Kaczynski's own brother, who recognized similarities between the Unabomber's writing and Ted's manifesto railing against technology. This ultimately led to his identification and arrest. Raids on Kaczynski's cabin revealed a hidden cache of bomb-making materials, solidifying evidence against him. The full scope of his crimes was then made public by the authorities. David Lidstone. David Lidstone, known as River Dave, lived a solitary life in the New Hampshire woods for 27 years. However, his time in the wilderness came to an end in 2021 due to a legal dispute with a landowner. Despite growing his food and chopping firewood, a court order forced him to vacate the cabin he considered home. Though initially hesitant, David expressed a surprising openness to the change. This decision stemmed from a 2016 land ownership disagreement. Lidstone believed a previous owner had granted him permission to stay, while the current landowner contested this claim. Just hours after the court hearing, a fire tragically destroyed his cabin, forcing him to leave immediately. The story captured public attention, and many offered financial assistance to help him find a new home. While grateful for the generosity, David declined, preferring to remain in New Hampshire, a place he felt deeply connected to.